Welcome to the Veronica Edwards Show, where we have fun financial conversations that everyone listening can apply to their personal and professional life. I'm your host, Veronica Edwards, CPA, and today we are back, season 6, completely independent and sponsored by my business, Balance Virtually, LLC, which provides accounting and consulting services. So, as always, the top of the show, gotta shout out the V team. This season, we've been breaking all kinds of records. We are getting close to 15,000 views. We're getting close to 70 subscribers, which our goal is 100. And we've just been on the air since March. And this show is going to air in November. So we are so thankful and grateful. And we are still looking for amazing sponsors to partner with us. So if you would like to be a sponsor or a guest or just a loyal listener, please like and subscribe to the page and head over to balancevirtually.com or veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com. So let's jump into today's show, which we will be talking about perseverance, healing, and purpose. And the guest today is someone that embodies all three of those things, Miss Wendy Brooks. So Wendy is a community health worker supervisor at the Spark Foundation, where I am a board member, and I've also been a treasurer for now about 7 years. And I had the privilege of being at a board meeting where Wendy was giving some background about her team of 9 that focuses on violence prevention and community wellness. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Miss Wendy Brooks. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am amazing. Everybody, this is Wendy's first time on
It
a
is.
podcast. And I think you're going to be amazing because you have an amazing story. I always ask the guests to provide me their bio and a headshot, but I cannot
Mhm.
do Wendy's bio justice by reading it. So I would love, especially since it's your first time on the show, for you to tell us where you're from, if you're from Asheville, how you got into community health work, and also if you can define for us what is community health work once you get to that. But first, we want to know all about you.
I was born and raised here in Asheville. Actually, West Asheville was where I spent most of my life before I branched out. Um, and so living there, wow, I lived there for probably at least 20 years before I spread my wings a little bit. But born and raised on Fairfax Avenue, which was my childhood home, and was living there when both of my children were born. That was kind of our little spot. Um, as a mom, I grew up as a single mom with 2 boys, beautiful boys, sassy boys.
I
Um,
have one.
ye yes. Um, and never been married. I've worked my whole life trying to make sure them boys had what they needed as a single mom. Both dads kind of really didn't show up in their lives. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but as my kids like to say, mom's hard-headed and gonna do what she needs to do.
Period.
Um, so I kind of got into the work as a community health worker. I actually left Ingalls. I worked there for over 20 years.
Wow.
And at the time that I left, I was a produce manager and had some trauma happen in my life. My son was shot and killed in front of my home in
Oh,
West Asheville um, in April of 2022.
mm,
And part of my thing was once I got to where I could get grounding, because of course it takes a while to get some grounding and kind of get your breath back,
yes.
was my oldest son, his name's LaMichael Carter. He had a big heart. He always wanted to help people. He showed up for everybody and anybody, that needed him. And kind of my work is technically his legacy. It's me
Mm,
giving back to community and giving back to people in need. And one of my favorite things about him, and I guess this was a little bit of my trigger, was he came by one evening on his way home because he moved to Marion, and was telling me like, "Mom, there's this homeless dude up at the top of the street." It was a cold, like rainy night. And he was like, he has a dog with him, they don't have nothing, he's in a tank top, and, "Do you got any extra blankets?" Like, went outside, dug in the back of his car, found some hoodies, some
Wow.
clothes, and, I had just bought, of course, I always have dogs. I just bought this really huge bag of dog food, and, I got a few different blankets and stuff that I could find, got a spare umbrella, and he said, "Mom, can I take some of this dog food? Like, I need to go give this man some things, like, it's sad." And so we went up there, he gave him the dog food for the dog, we had a little bowl so we could pour some water in it, gave him some warm clothes, the umbrella and the blankets, and after about an hour goes by, I, like, text him, and I'm checking on him like, "Hey, where you at? Did you go on home?" And he's like, "No, I'm just sitting up here chatting with this dude, like, we went and got some food, and we're just chilling in the car, I'm trying to get him warm so he can put on these clothes, and we're fine." And, so I think that was my standout moment about how huge my son's heart was.
Yes.
And when I'm, like, trying to regain my grounding, of course, that moment stuck out to me. And I'm like, "How do you give back?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you just love on as many people as you can no matter what their circumstances are?" And, of course, community health work, that's what it is. Especially when you're looking at community health work and violence prevention.
Mm.
A lot of people think with violence, like you're just trying to, I guess, calm disputes or whatever,
Right.
but it's really kind of not. So as a community health worker in violence prevention, when you're thinking about the things that cause violence in communities, 9 times out of 10, it's because needs ain't getting met. You could be a single mom needing to feed your kids, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe it goes from a grocery store, or something like that because, you gotta have your basic needs met. And when they're not met, you're doing things to make sure you're getting those met, whether it's, harming yourself, your family, or your community.
Yeah.
And so, I was able to hop in, this amazing training, ran by Abdullah, who is out of Wilmington. He has a nonprofit called the Sokoto House, um, and it's community public response to violence, CPRV training. And, I was able to get into that training, and then I also got the North Carolina State certification for community health work. So there's 2 different ones. Um, and in the violence prevention one, we work in community where people tend to not have the resources that they technically need.
Mm-hmm.
It's missed communities, it's communities that people tend to avoid. They just, and it's uplifting their life. It's having a conversation with a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? Where is an area that you're struggling? How can we support you? And it's not giving them money, but it's connecting them with the resources. We're connecting them with how to help pay rent, how to, get your license. We're connecting them with mental health work. We're connecting them
Mm.
with, typically pretty much almost anything you can think of. And a lot of times it's something as simple as childcare or finding a job. Look, you need a job? Okay, I'm going to help you connect you with this resource to pay your rent, but let's sit down and write you a resume. Tell me about yourself. Let's tweak this resume, look it good. What kind of job are you wanting? I'll even sit down and help you prepare for the interview. We'll role play until you feel comfortable. So basically that's what community health work and violence prevention is we're just trying to swim upstream, get people at the root cause and
Mm-hmm.
before they even get to that point and basically walk along with them until they're stable and they're secure and their life is where they need it to be, whether it takes 3 months or a year. It don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's kind of how I honestly like fulfill my son's legacy because that's me giving back and trying to help people and make sure that they're good. Sometimes everybody needs a hand being pulled uphill. I know
Yes.
I did a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very young mom. So, I just want to be that hand that keeps pulling people uphill. So hopefully one day we're all going to be on the same level. And
Yes.
that's really my goal.
Wow, dropped a mic with this is why I'm like, how do I have so many questions. One, God bless your son. Um, I know I lost a sister at a and she was very young, not as young as your son, but I know how it just takes over your whole life. So the fact that you're keeping his legacy alive. I keep saying that there's things that I wanna do with my sister, and now I'm approaching 8 years since she's passed away, and there's still more that I wanna do, but it's just an inspiration. And so how old was your son when he sat out there with that gentleman and that was cold with the dog food and all that?
At that point of time, he was 25, actually.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
so
he was
young.
20.
So young,
Yeah.
because a lot of times we just kinda just like you said, a lot of times we think people just want money or they're trying to get over
Mhm,
on us, and I've been guilty of that too. I'll say, "Well, we'll pray for them, son," or, "If I give people all my money, then we won't have money." But I wanna talk more about that where you said, sometimes people just need a hand up. So you have these 9
mhm.
individuals with the Spark Foundation, which Spark is all about, bringing families together and getting people help, keeping people out of institutional care. So if that is through jail, if that's through family services, your specific area is health. It's so many things. It's health, it's community, it's violence. So I'm just trying to think of what is the background of a lot of your community health workers? Do you have to have lived experience? Does everybody have lived experience?
My whole team actually has some form of lived experience. And I think that's what makes them so amazing. You have so many different types of lived experience with them. You have so many personalities and backgrounds. And a lot of that is kind of what helps us with our work. Um, I have some people that maybe have substance abuse in their background. We have people with past incarceration in their backgrounds. Every single one of us comes from one phase form of life. And that's the beauty of everybody that I work with because their lived experience is really their passion that drives them to make sure that we're helping people, especially if it's someone who may just freshly out of incarceration, nobody really wants to hire them or anything like that. Our lived experience helps us understand where they're at
Mhm.
and helps us be able to pull them up to a higher level. Um, a lot of our people with incarceration backgrounds at this point, they know people that's second chance employers. We're connected with second chance employers. Um, we build our partnerships up. God, we have partnerships probably with every nonprofit, so many different
Yeah.
businesses, everything on that personal level. So we're not just saying, hey, go apply here, but we're making phone calls like, hey, we're sending such and such. They're putting in an application. This is kind of their history and their background, but they're hardworking. This might be a barrier. You let me know how we can support them to make sure that they can still maintain work.
Mhm.
Like the way I look at it, we're just tough. We knock down barriers for everybody every way that we can. And that's the beauty of it.
Wow. So I know this show's gonna air November 20th. Hopefully, the government shutdown will be over by then, right? But if it's not, what is the Spark Foundation and your community health workers doing right now dealing with the fact that SNAP ended on November 1? And there's a lot of people that heavily
Mhm.
rely on those SNAP services that you guys, work with on a weekly and a daily basis. So what services are you guys providing?
Right now, a lot of our services that we've been trying to piece together, and I've been working with some of the other nonprofits in the area, is seeing what food markets has survived the government shutdown because, of course, funding is not easy right now. Trying to find what markets and food pantries are still up and running and making sure that we have all of those on this one document. So when somebody comes and says, like, hey, we're struggling, we need food support, we can hand them 2 or 3 pages full of different information and places to go. Um, and then Spark itself, we have a meeting today. We are going to try and set a food pop up on Fridays too. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that works out
Yes.
well. We have a donor in place that's going to be able to donate to help us support that mission. And, it's wild to me because even if I don't have somebody on my client list, which is kind of small since I have 8 other employees I keep up with, but,
Yes.
even in community and all my friends and their friends, they're like, "Hey, such and such needs help. Where can I tell them to go?"
Uh-huh.
I'm just passing out information like it's crazy, making sure that people can have food in their home for them and their kids and their families. 'Cause, I mean, if you're hungry, how can you focus on work or education or anything like that?
Mhm.
It's just not
It affects so many things, and I'm glad that our medical system's not the best. It seems like they want us, treat the symptoms, not get to the root cause, but we are getting more holistic doctors. And they say that all the time. Like, how can you even focus on your health if you don't know where you're going to be sleeping? You don't know where you're
mhm.
going to eat next. Like, the last thing you're worrying about is your health. So it just so goes hand in hand. So, Wendy, what does a typical day look like for you? I was asking you before we started
Ooh.
recording, okay, you have some meetings, but yes, what does it look like to be a community health worker and or supervisor?
So, before I became a supervisor, my days was kind of like very random. Every day, no day ever technically
Right.
matched.
Right.
Um, it could be so for my team, we'll say today, they're gonna be out probably working with clients one-on-one, reaching out, checking on clients, working on whatever they may be working with them, and then at 1 o'clock, they're gonna be in Pisgah View Apartments, passing out flyers for an upcoming, event that we're having over there on, I think it's the 9th, this Sunday, talking to residents. What is their concerns? What do they think that they need? And what'll help their community and their environment so they can thrive in that environment. Um, so not only are they just handing out flyers, but they're going to be randomly talking to everybody, just having conversations with strangers, checking in, passing out business cards so they know how to get in touch with us if we're ever needed. Um, and then today is Tuesday, so that's marvelous math. From 3:30 to like 5:30, 6 o'clock, we would be over in PVA in the community center working with kids getting out of school, working on math skills, life skills, things like that. So, like, your days can be the most random days in the world. You could have one day where you just have meetings, it's nothing but business and planning, to another day of just seeing your clients back to back to back and kind of encouraging and building them up while meeting their needs. My day as a supervisor after this, I'll be in the meeting to hopefully get that food pantry planned and going. And then we have a big meeting this evening with all of our different team leaders discussing what's going on with our teams, what's working, what's not working, just supporting each other and meeting all the needs that Spark needs from its leadership, to make sure that we're supporting our employees to be the best employees they can be too.
Absolutely, because when you do this work, it's so easy to take on so many people's burdens and to get
Yes.
stressed out. And, you talked about too, like this work is healing for you, but
Mhm.
how do you have that time for Wendy? How do you make sure that you're getting your self care, your self love? How do you make time for that? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening, I'm a mom of a 10-year-old, you're a mommy. Even if your children are older, we're forever moms. But we're pulled
Oh,
in
yeah.
so many directions. So how do you make time for you doing this type of work?
You just have to be very intentional about loving yourself, because, like you said, this work's heavy. A lot of the people that we encounter are not in a good place.
Mhm.
And, even though you can't carry their burden, some of that heaviness sticks with you. So a lot of times in the morning, I make sure I get up early enough to where I have time to at least spend 30 minutes meditating and,
Amen.
just some cool music, nice slow music, breath work, and deep meditation for me. And then a lot of times, depending on my day, I'm going to meditate the minute I get home.
Yes.
Just because, like, you got to love yourself and you got to shake off some of the heaviness just so you can focus on your family.
Absolutely.
And meditation has been one of the best skills I've probably ever learned. It maybe not have been the easiest, but it is one of the best. I will take time on the weekends for yoga. There's certain
Come
yoga
on,
things
Wendy. Yes.
that activates certain parts of your brain and your body to relieve tension and stress. So I've done my best to learn a lot of those so I can do that for myself. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of an outdoorsy person, even if it's cold and I do
Mm-hmm.
have seasonal allergies. But I love being outdoors. So if
Yes.
that's just something small as taking a walk or going on a massive hike, I make space and time for that. You have to make space and time for yourself.
You do. I work from home, so my back is to the light right now, but I'm facing my back porch and I'm like, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna get me some vitamin D. And like you said, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, because I do live in the west side, so it's not an area where I could just walk. Right. I'm off of Hazel Mill in Louisiana. Anybody that knows that area.
Love it. Yes.
So a lot of time I can't walk, but I'll be, on my front porch or on my back porch. And Wendy,
Uh-huh.
I think we're around the same age. And for me, I have to walk on my treadmill. I have to do something,
Yes.
like you said, that activity to just because my mind will be racing and all the things. And I pray,
Yes.
meditation, all the same stuff you have to do. I'm so glad that you shared that because a lot of times we do so much for others and then we don't remember to do for ourselves. So I'm glad
Ourselves.
to
Yeah.
hear that you're doing that and you're, intentional about it. So Wendy, we're almost to the end of the show. I told you this is gonna fly by. This is gonna fly by. But you are an expert in that community health work field. So, for
Mhm.
those that are listening, a little ad for Spark. If Spark's hiring right now, or if any of these great organizations in Western North Carolina or wherever you are that you're listening, what traits, what certifications, what experience should someone possess if they want to be a CHW, a community health worker?
So, I will say this, because I'm kinda not really a people person, I'm kind of in the shadows, quiet type person, um, but it helps to definitely have people skills, communication skills, you have to know how to be able to communicate very clearly to somebody, and this is gonna sound wild because some people's like, "Oh, you gotta have this degree or this degree." There's no degrees. No
I
degrees.
love that.
Um, and literally the 2 different CHW certifications are completely different. The North Carolina State is focused on health, wellness, diabetes, things like that, while the other one is focused on helping people with basic needs and the violence prevention aspect of it. So, very great communication. You have to have empathy, you have to have understanding, and you have to have an open mind.
Mm,
Because 9 times out of 10, what most people don't realize, even though they're judgmental, they don't realize they're one disaster away from being the person they're judging.
exactly.
And I mean, it could just be something as simple as missing rent. With the government shutdown, people ain't got paychecks. That one
Mm-hmm.
missing rent could cost you to be out on the streets in a couple months because it's just so hard to catch up.
Yep.
Um, but lived experience, empathy, open mind, you got to be able to love people.
That
That's
part.
that's the hard. You gotta be able to love on people, and if you ain't got certifications, that's okay, because my whole team has gotten more and more certifications as they worked.
Exactly.
So, I just had 4 that, graduated from the CPRV, Community Health Worker and Violence Prevention, and, they already had their job before they got that certification. Like, the wonderful thing about us is we're gonna build you up while you're working. We're gonna support,
Yes.
and, basically, it's just simple skills,
Yeah.
being a human.
I was gonna say all the stuff that you said should be in every job, but
Mhm.
the fact that,
It should.
now we have to literally say it, and not to get up in everybody's business, but I'm a money person. Being a community health worker, is this a job that's a livable wage? Is it close to $20 an hour? Can you get some work around that with community health work?
Definitely, and that's the one thing I love about this job is because part of our jams is making sure we're getting people connected with living wage money.
Mhm.
So I don't know a community health worker that gets paid less than actually living wage, and 9 times out of 10, most of us are paid a little bit more.
Hmm.
So in my household, it's just me and my fiance. But to be honest, if it was just me, which is the way it was when I bought my home just 2 years ago,
Come on,
Um,
homeowner. Yes.
yes,
Congratulations.
I pay all my bills on my pay from working with Spark as a
That's a
community health
blessing.
worker.
That's a blessing.
That's groceries, all the basic needs, and then I always squirrel away money just because
As you
I'm a
should.
squirreler.
Yes. And saving money is paying yourself. That's investing in you. And just for those
Yes,
listening, most livable wages in North Carolina is about 23 to $25 an hour. So this whole BS, I don't know what the federal minimum wage is, probably still seven something, which is crazy.
probably.
Well, that's good to know because we need to have more people in this field, not just for the pay or that you don't have to have a college education, but we need it. We see how this
Yes.
world is becoming, and you are absolutely right, Wendy. We are all just one situation, decision away,
Mhm.
circumstance from I mean, we saw it last year with Hurricane Helene. Everybody was nervous about when's the water coming back, when's electricity. So
Mhm.
we definitely see it, and we're still recovering. So we definitely
Oh,
need
yeah.
it selfishly in Western North Carolina. And so those that are listening, I would love for you to head over to the sparkfoundation.org, find out more about community health work, but there are other organizations in the area. Just use AI as everybody's using now to find out more
Yes.
information. But Wendy, thank you so much for being on. And please share your information if there's ways that people can get in touch with you that you want to share with people, how they can reach you. Because I think you have a future just telling your story if you haven't already and just continuing to share your story. But if people are interested more in community health work, how do they reach out to you?
So definitely, I'll give my email. It's wbrooks at thesparkfoundation.org. Feel free to shoot me an email. If you call the Spark Foundation office, we have a hotline that's specifically for community health worker. Just match that number. I'm not sure which number it is when you're calling in. Or if you call our office and this beautiful lady named Miss Nancy answers the phone,
Nance.
tell her to transfer you to our hotlines so you can reach out to us. And I'm not going to lie, I'm always in motion. I'm always out in communities, whether it's downtown,
Absolutely.
whether Pisgah View. I live in Leicester now. So, like, I'm never outside of Asheville. I don't care if it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm grocery shopping. You got questions. I'm here to answer them. I'm
I
not going to
love
be upset
Wendy.
if some random person comes and talks to me.
Yes. Wendy, I always loved the name Wendy because there wasn't a lot of V and W girls growing up. So I feel like we're name
That's right.
adjacent. I love a Wendy. Wendy, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us. And you're such an example of courage and service. And I am so proud to know that you're a part of the Spark Foundation and that I've had the amazing opportunity to hear you tell the board what you're doing, but now I definitely want to be able to share this to anybody that has internet, video camera, all the fun stuff. I'm a Wendy fan. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for all the work
Thank you
that you're
so
doing.
much for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it because spreading the word on what we do is probably one of the most important aspects of our job. Because if you don't know us, how
Yes.
do you get help?
Girl, it's like the Underground Railroad. I was like, "What is this thing that we're doing here?" Like, you don't know, but then
Yes.
once you get in the community, everybody knows the community health workers, and it's all about relationships. That's all I keep hearing more
Yeah.
and more. People are not gonna trust
Mm.
you if you're just popping up because you gotta do community service. This is a
Yeah,
lifestyle. This is I mean, you could just feel it's what you're passionate about, it's what you were meant to do,
it is.
and I'm so proud of you, and I know your son is very proud of you as well, and your other son. So you're doing an
Thank
amazing
you.
job. And I just want to thank the V team, thank everybody for tuning into the Veronica Edwards Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube, and also head over to veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com so you never miss an episode. And until next time, stay balanced and financially savvy.